Hello, ODAC fans, and welcome to our annual ODAC cross country preview. I have with us two of our head coaches in the league from Washington and Lee, the women's head coach for cross country, Mike Dager, and from Shenandoah University, the head man for both the men's and women's programs, Andy Marrocco. Coaches, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Great.
Thanks for
Good to be
having
here.
us.
Thanks for having us a part of this, JJ.
Absolutely, and I know it's we were talking beforehand here. I know it's been posted on Facebook all over, but happy birthday to Andy Coach Morocco here. We're not going to say what his age is, but we thank him for giving some time for us for that, and really for both of you because you're heavy into the preseason here now. We're recording this on Wednesday the 27th, so we're just 2 days away from competition when you're both going to be in action either on Friday or Saturday. And before we get into kind of the preview this year, I kind of want to look back a little bit on last year, really the banner season that we had from a conference perspective, looking at some things, Lynchburg and Washington Lee winning not only ODACs, but regional titles as well. And congratulations to both of those programs winning really indoor and outdoor as well as cross country to add to the three titles for each of the men's and women's programs from Lynchburg and Washington Lee, respectively. But guys want to look at the national aspect too, because we had 30 runners out there, two qualified teams on the women's side, plus three individuals, two qualified teams on the men's side. It was really a great showing for us to have that sort of thing, and not to mention the finishes they had. Mike, your team finishing eighth on the women's side is, I think, the best finish in your program history, and Lynchburg finishing 12th on the men's side. You had one of the three All-Americans that we had on, at least one of the three All-Americans, I think, with Olivia coming in there on the women's side. And then on the men's side, we had Chase and Hunt from Lynchburg coming through with a first team All American option. So, guys, want to talk a little bit about last year, a little bit. Mike, kind of start with you and just talk about the run that your program had last season, supplanting Lynchburg as the ODAC champion and really continuing that on. And not just a great regional showing, but a great national showing and finishing really in the top, I think, 15 in the USTF CCCA polling.
Yeah, last year was a special year for our program. That just great group of women that really believed in what we were trying to do and believed in each other. Super supportive group. It was a lot of fun. We had some really big performances, and yeah, it was just a great year. But like you said, there were 30 runners from the ODAC at the national championship. I think it really speaks to the depth and strength of the conference, and it's really exciting to look ahead to the next season too, and should be a great championship.
No, I think you're right. And Andy, kind of take a look at it from a conference perspective here. We talked a little bit about before we started recording. This is the 50th year of the ODAC, and we've had some great years in the conference before even the national championship with Ricky Flynn back in the day winning on the men's side. But from your perspective, talk about just what we saw from the conference last year with those four teams, two schools, if you will, with their full conglomerates going to the national championship plus three individuals on the women's side. Just talk about what you saw from the conference last year and how you think that might help going into this year when we're going to see a lot of new names pop up on awards lists.
Yeah, sure. I mean, last year was huge. I know there was across the board, there was a lot of seniors, men and women. But being out there at the national championships in Terre Haute and seeing, Mike's girls, seeing the Lynchburg squads on the men's side, what those guys were capable of doing. Um, the three girls from Bridgewater look great out there. So I think last year was huge. And I think it shows the depth of what our conference is, how tough the ODAC truly is. What a force in the South region. When you look at the top 10 teams at the regional championships, half of them come from the ODAC. So definitely last year was a very big year for the conference as a whole. But there were a lot of seniors in that group. The three Bridgewater girls are gone. I think Lynchburg has one. I could be mistaken, but I think they have one returner out of their national championship squad. I know Brandon on the men's side at Washington and Lee brought a good squad back from last year, but there is quite a bit of turnover from last year to this year, and it's I was telling some of my underclassmen, I here at Shenandoah, we lost a big senior group on our women's side, and I was telling our underclassmen that's kind of a good thing because they're talented, but you kind of get stuck in that shadow of the people that are leading you. and now the sun shines on them. It-
Yeah.
It's it's their time to bloom and have their turn. So, yeah, when you have a big year for a team or even the conference as a whole, that's great. But sometimes it's good for a little bit of mix up, so we see some fresh faces again.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think it's a good segue into because I want to give you both an opportunity to talk about and maybe even gush a little bit about your programs coming into now the 2025 campaign. As we mentioned before, action is allowed to start on Friday the 29th. Nobody in Division Three in any sport can compete before that, so that's when everybody is going to kick into action, and all the campuses are going to be in full gear, and it's like going from 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. I mean, here we go. But, Andy, why don't we stick with you here? Talk about your two programs, what your expectations are for the Shenandoah Hornets this season, both men and women cross country.
I'll start with the men. They've never been preseason ranked before, and with the regional announcements yesterday, we came in at ninth. Ethan Hauer, who scored for us at the conference championships in the steeplechase, he was our top guy cross country last year at ODAC. He's the only male that we lost coming back into this year. Brought in a huge incoming rookie class. Um, so I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys are capable of putting together this year. On the women's side, like I already alluded to, I mean, we lost Maddie Lotz, who was a national qualifier, McKenna Thrush, who was all region, um, Mackenzie Plowman, who holds multiple school records on the track. Sarah Christie she was one of our only two girls that ran at regionals all 4 years. So we lost a lot out of last year's class. Um, but same with the men, we brought in a lot of immediate talent. Um, all region, Maddie Chorney is back as a sophomore. Kaylee Lamont, who did not run for us at the regional championships last year, but I think had Mike a little worried at outdoor ODAC in the 1500 when she almost won out of the slow heat. Um, I should say out of the first heat. So she's back and she's healthier than last year. So um, women came in fifth in the region. I think four, maybe three is very realistic, but I think five right now I think that's a good spot to be sitting and let these girls do a little bit of growing.
Mike, your program, obviously, after the great showing last season, you bring back a few athletes from that squad here a little bit. Talk about what you expect now that maybe you've got a little bit of a target on your back that you're the one to go get.
Oh yeah, we've definitely talked about how we're not flying under the radar anymore. We return a really good group from last year, although four of the top seven did graduate. And we've got a really great group of first years. There's 11 of them. So on a team of 30, the first year class is over 30% of the team. So they've done a really good job of welcoming that group into our program. And yeah, we're just really looking forward to it. Obviously, the goals are to defend the ODAC title. We know that won't be easy. Try and take another crack at the regional title, and the big goal is to get the program back to the national championship and have as high a finish as we can. So, yeah, it's been a great preseason, and people are working hard. You could tell they prepared over the summer, and they seem ready to roll. I'll get to wish Andy a happy birthday in person on Friday. We're both opening up at Bridgewater to check out the ODAC course. So yeah, looking forward to that, and yeah,
Well,
excited about 2025.
Well, we look forward to it as well. But as you both have talked about a little bit, the ODAC has stepped up a little bit. Even though when we take a look at the ODAC perspective, we've got quite a few spots on the all conference teams that are missing coming into this year, both on the men's and women's side. Only 4 of 14 all conference runners back on the women's side, including just one on the second team. So that's runners 8 through 14 of you, for those of you who are following at home from the cross country championships. On the men's side, it's 7 of 14 overall. And then this year, we're going to go an extra team deep to 21 runners for an all ODAC third team for the first time for cross country, which I really think is very appropriate for this group, given that the quality that we've seen. Mike, why don't we stick with you here on the women's side, kind of taking a look at what do we expect to see from the ODAC this season, especially with the release of the USTF CCCA regional polls that came out yesterday on Tuesday. What do you see from the conference on the women's side?
You know, to see 50% of those 10 teams be part of the ODAC is, like Andy said, it really speaks to our strength. Now that we're going 21 deep for all conference awards, I think we're gonna see a lot of new faces. Some people are going to move up from where they were last year because of graduation, but I think there's an opportunity for coaches to tell their freshman athletes that you can really make a difference in this conference, and sort of start collecting some awards and accolades before you head toward track. And I think when there's more opportunities to have success recognized, that really gets people excited. I think there's the team battle on the ODAC side is going to be interesting. There's no team that's heads and shoulders above everyone. It should be a really good team battle and good battle individually for those different all ODAC spots. So
very much so. Andy, same thing from you, looking at the men's side a little bit, using the regional rankings that came out. What do you expect to see from the ODAC men's side this year, especially when we look at a Lynchburg program that graduated so many strong athletes from that national championship squad?
Sure. Yeah, I think Lynchburg is, especially on the men's side, has always been very, very deep in talent. Some of us joke that Jake just has pods in the basement of Wakefield House. That he's a new runner. He just goes pops one of the pods. But no, the men they're deep. I know they lost a lot to graduation and whatnot, but they have a lot of good returners. I think the WNL men, I think looking at those polls, that's where they should be. I think 1, 2 is going to be WNL, then Lynchburg, and I think 3, 4, 5 is going to be a battle between my Shenandoah Hornets, the Roanoke guys. I know Derek did a great job in his recruiting this year, and then the men down at Bridgewater. I know Lance. There's been a lot of turnover in that position in the past, and I think Lance really bit into it and buckled down and did a really good job helping Denver do some distance recruiting down there. So I think third, fourth, and fifth is going to be a dogfight. I think first and second, I don't think it's going to be an easy win, but I think on paper, I think WNL might have a slight edge over Lynchburg. Not to put a target on Brandon's back. I think the WNL men also have the advantage of having a coach that has been in place for a number of years now. With Jake leaving this past summer, Sam was a great runner in his own right, but this is his first time getting his feet wet in coaching. Not to say that you can't have success as a first-year coach, but there's a learning curve. So, given the talent of that team and the learning curve of coaching, he's got to learn real quick. So I think the men's side is going to look great. I know a lot of us, like Mike said, are going to be at the course preview this coming weekend at Bridgewater. So it'll be fun to see all the guys and on the women's side, all the girls getting back together on the course.
I think that's right, and that's a good point, and something that we'll just kind of touch on here real fast, just looking at it. But I think at least three new coaches, new head coaches in the league here. I'm thinking Guilford or Hampton Sydney and Lynchburg and Virginia Wesleyan. So there's, like you said, that learning curve is coming about, something new to see what the mentorship from them goes about. But also something new that we've got, you both have alluded to a little bit here, is the cross country championship for the ODAC will be at Bridgewater College this year. Both of you are opening into that course a little bit. We know it's a little unique. Mike, we'll let you both take a stab at it here. Mike, talk a little bit about what you expect, how that course to run, both particularly maybe on the women's side.
Sure. I think when you get there, it's very flat. People expect really fast times, but there's a lot of turns, and you can see the race the entire time. It's great for spectators, but you can, as an athlete, I think there's an opportunity there for you to zone out a little bit because you can see the whole race. So I mean, that's one of the reasons we're going is, they need to get a sense of what the layout looks like, how we should approach it at the end of the season. But again, lots of turns. again, you get there, you think this is going to be really fast, but it tends to not produce super fast times. But super spectator friendly. That's great for the conference. I think it's great for the sport. The athletes just need to make sure they stay engaged the whole time.
Yeah, but I know that we'll be looking to try to do some additional things with streaming when it comes to that, especially with the new Flow College agreement that we have going in place. So we look to try to put that ability to be able to see the entire course to work in the streaming perspective as well. Coach Marrocco, kind of looking at it a little bit of a different perspective. The last 2 years we've been at Roanoke at the Green Hill Park in Salem. That's where the regionals are this year. Talk a little about maybe how Bridgewater's course differs from that, and giving us a little segue into talking about the regional course that Derek's going to have at Roanoke.
Yeah, like Mike said, they're it's flat at Bridgewater, very spectator friendly, very open. You could see the entire race, and it's very similar at Roanoke. At Green Hill Park, you could see a mile ahead of you who's up in front, and there that can be deceiving sometimes. You think it's time to make a move, and you make that turn, and you see the person you want to catch is 40, 50 meters in front of you. If if they're not thinking in the right way, it's going to bite them in the butt. Um, but I think the Rono course does produce some faster times, so I think we're going to see some pretty impressive stuff at the regional championships. I know the NCAA committee has had a few conversations with Derek and the park people about um, there was a lot of 90-degree turns on the course last year at the championships, and kind of softening them to make them more sweeping turns. Um, but other than that, I mean, it's a well laid out course. It's fair. Um, there's no hills at all. Unlike next year when the ODAC comes here, a little bit more challenging there with the hills of Kernstown. But it's a flat, fast, fair course. Um, Takes a lot of really smart, strategic moves. But I think it's going to be a great championship.
Andy, I'll come to your place if for no other reason, just to have the cannon kind of kick us off with each of the two races. That's always fun, man.
Yeah.
Not that the Kernstown battlefield there, we've got a lot of good courses here in the ODAC. But another thing that also happens here, and Andy kind of alluded to there with your committee work, you get a little bit of an insider view on what's happening here. So staying on the eastern side of the country, we have the national championships this year down in at Spartanburg in South Carolina. Talk a little bit about that, maybe some of the inside work. The like you mentioned, they're talking about the curves at Roanoke and maybe changing it around. Are there any adjustments they're going to make to that course at Spartanburg, which I know some of our programs are going to go down to compete at this year ahead of that championship?
Yeah, there's three meets this season where teams have the opportunity to go. It's great that the national championship, to my recollection, has never been in the South region for Division Three. So this is going to be pretty awesome to be closer to home, and have the South region hosting that championship. But I know Mike can add in on this. We were both down there for the 21 regional championship, and there's been some concerns over the last couple years about tight turns, areas where the path itself narrows pretty quickly. Um, the thing with Spartanburg, where the course is at the Milligan Research Center, it's it's arboretum. So a lot of those trees there's like one in the country, and it's at that arboretum. So they can't just go cut a tree down to get it out of the way. So they have been doing a lot of course work throughout the summer, bringing in topsoil, bringing in mulch. There was a part that went around a lake in the past that they changed the course. It doesn't go through there anymore. Um, the committee chair and the committee vice chair back in December went down to preview everything, and they said that some of the things were already changed, and kind of getting rid of some of the concerns that the committee had. But I guess the true testament will be the teams that go down this fall with only 8, 12 weeks to go until that championship pops up on us. So we'll see what some of the coaches are reporting back when we start getting down there.
Mike, are you taking your team down there before the national championship this year?
We're not actually, but I know, I mean, we'll hear from, like Andy said, there's a lot of teams going down. That the the opening weekend. It's got some teams from across the country. They're going to host pre-nationals, I think, on the 20th. And I think, they'll get a sense of what it feels like to have 30 plus teams on the starting line, and make that first turn, which comes up pretty quick. And it's a pretty sharp left turn, about 550, 600 meters into it. Entirely different than last year, where you had almost 1,200 meters before you made a turn, and that turn was very gentle. So yeah, definitely a different experience, different spectator experience, but it's cross country, right? Like, show us where the starting line is, tell us how to get to the finish line. And I mean, that's the sport. So every team's just going to maybe have to adjust how they approach it, based on getting through that first 1,500 meters or so until things open up a little bit more.
Yep, from golf courses to state parks to nature reserves and arboretums now, cross country brings a little bit of everything. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me here today to give us a bit of a preview for the ODAC season coming up, and hopefully that continues beyond into the regional setup here, and then maybe some national championship qualification just like we had last year. Coaches, thank you very much, and good luck not only here this later end of this week, but for the rest of the season.